Hey, what's happening, YouTube? Part 2 of the Fishroom Update. Start out here with Orion. He's doing really well. His female is doing well too. She's back here in the corner. Still a little shy. It looks like they are getting ready to try spawning again. So we'll see how that goes. I was finally able to add a canister filter to this tank, so it is staying much cleaner than it used to. I ended up getting one of those Sun, I think it's a 525 gallon per hour canister with the 9 watt UV. I think it was 110 or 120 bucks, something like that, with free shipping. Great little filter. I like it a lot. Came with all the media and all that stuff. I will probably get another one of those to throw on this tank eventually. Just can't have too much filtration, I guess. But as usual, it's hard to get any good pictures of this guy or video footage of the guy because he's always facing me trying to beg for food all the time. But you can see he's starting to get a little bit of a tude here, which is nice. But as soon as you go in to clean his tank, he just goes over in the corner and sits until you're done. Which is good, because I don't need this guy trying to tear me apart. And moving on, I got the female in here for Odin. Her name is Frigg. In Norse mythology, Odin's wife her name was Frigg, or sometimes they go by Frigga. You can see that she went through the holes in the divider last night and he got a hold of her face. Luckily, he didn't damage her eye because it's right over her left eye. Anyways, after that had happened, I covered the holes in the divider so she's no longer allowed to come through. I don't need her getting murdered. And here's Odin, doing really well. You can see his lips are kind of worn out a little bit from trying to get through that divider all the time, so we're biting at the divider. But he's doing really well. We're just going to slowly work on this guy, see if I can get him to be able to spawn rather than go through the first instinct of just wanting to murder. I've also added, picked up a brand new 125. It doesn't have anything in it yet, of course. It's ready to run whenever I want. So eventually I have another 6-foot tank here, brand new, that I can use for growing or spawning or whatever. In this tank here, you got little Magnuson. See if we can get some footage of him before he wants to run off. But he's doing really well. Haven't had really any trouble with aggression. I mean, a little bit of chasing here and there, but the female's doing the chasing. No signs of spawning again, which is fine. I just want him to be concentrating on growing more than anything else. But no torn fins, no missing scales, none of that. These two get along really well. And moving down, I still have these other Magnus babies in here. They're getting pretty good size. I really would like to sell these things. I have so many of them now. They're all 3.5, almost 4 inches. This one in the tube here is really big. Pretty much runs the tank. I think if I could get them, if I could separate them a little more, here you can see this big one now. If I could get them separated a little more, I think some of them would start showing color, but the way that it is now with all these that are all the same size, everybody's battling for dominance. Nobody really knows who the king is. So nobody's really showing much for color. There are a few good ones in here yet. You know, some that are showing potential. I would like to get these guys out of here, like I said, though. Free up some tank space for other stuff for the winter here. And above that, we got the Gorillas Blacks. They're growing like crazy. I'd like to get these into a bigger tank. If I can move out these Magnus babies, you know, I could throw these down in that 75, give them a little more room to shine and grow and stuff. So I suppose these guys are all an inch. Some are a little bigger. I'm going to be growing these out to a pretty good size so I can pick out what I want, and then I will sell some off. And I will be sure to let everyone know when I'm ready to do that. Over here is Magnus. I still haven't, I'm going to be pulling the divider again for the 4th time on this tank. You can see she's over on this side. I'll be pulling the divider today, see how they do. The second time I pulled the divider went pretty well for a good hour, maybe a little more, and then he started getting pretty wild. Pulled 8 to 10 scales off of her, and then that was good enough for me. I put the divider back in. I waited a while. She healed back up. The 3rd time, he was rough pretty much from the get-go, so it was actually a step backward. So now I've had the divider in here for probably 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. So I'm going to try it again this weekend and see how it goes. I mean, she submits to him, but it's just not good enough for him. He wants to press the issue all the time. So when I do pull the divider, I sit in front of this tank and I watch him non-stop. I don't ever leave, just to make sure that nothing happens. When the divider is in, it's all they do is sit in front next to each other at this divider. That's all they do. As soon as I pull it out, the dynamics completely change. I'm pretty sure she wants to spawn with him, but it's just he gets a little rambunctious. So if I can get these two to spawn, they're gonna put out some pretty awesome fry, I think. I'm pretty excited to do that. But fish have a mind of their own, and we just got to go at their pace. And my biggest thing is to take care of that female. I don't need her getting messed up or damaged where she's scarred for the rest of her life, you know. So we'll move on here. We'll go over to where I have the other pair, this pair of Hoga Boomerum, Thanatos and Pandora. I named them. Here they are. Her tube's been down for at least 3 weeks. I mean, you can see right now, it's to the point where you'd think that she's going to lay today or has already laid. I mean, and her tube's been like that for weeks. They do this tail flapping and posturing behavior non-stop. They're always in that pot, but no egg laying. So I don't know if it's all these Bacordi in here or what it is. They're not killing the Bacordi. They don't really even seem to care that they're in there all that much. But eventually we'll get them to spawn. Patience is what it takes, I guess. So it's been really a pleasure to watch them, though. I mean, no matter if they spawn or not, I really enjoy this pair of fish, and won't be giving up on them. I'll be keeping these guys for forever, or as long as they're alive, anyhow. A couple of these bacordi in here are getting gigantic. This one here is probably 7 inches, maybe a little bigger. She's coming right up to the camera now. But they do this all the time. At least there's plenty of action in here. They're a nice pair, though. I really like them. In this other tank, I got the lion's eye in here. Sorry for that glare. I have to close that blind or something. Here we got a Grimauds male. There's some of the lion's eye coming up. Still nothing showing on these lion's eye. No black in the dorsal, no nothing. Which is really weird. I don't know if I have a whole pile of males or what's going on. Well, we'll just take our time with them and let them do their thing. And here's the other Grimauds here. That's the female. Of course, with a big glare in the thing for you. But she's a nice little female too. They get along really well now that there's, you know, all these lion's eye in here to kind of take the heat off of her. This male's pretty nice. Also from Gage, as are the lion's eye. And then I got one more tank to show you guys, one that I don't know if I've really ever filmed. This one here is it's a 75 grow out. It's got some umbies in it. These are umbies from Thor and Beast. I've been growing these out, not really showing them that much. I have looks like 7 of them left. I sold quite a few of them. I gave a couple to my son. But yeah, so I'll be growing these out, see what I get out of this small group. See if we can get a decent male out of it. They're all looking pretty well identical at this stage. Nothing really jumping out other than this huge one. But yeah, that's about it for part 2 here. Nothing too exciting going on. Just a typical growing fish, and now I got some really small ones to grow out, and gives me something to do this winter though. So that's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. I wanted to give a shout out to Cyclaman09, JW Heiser 1302, and Conway Stevens. I'll put the links to their pages in the description. If you haven't subbed them, please do. Those guys are really great hobbyists, and a great bunch of guys. And don't forget to try some of this Southern Delight food. It's stuff's fantastic. It really is. And I know that a lot of people get set in their ways, and there's a food that works for them. But try to keep an open mind and at least try out some samples of it and see how it goes. See how it works for you. Worst thing that can happen is nothing. So if you want to try some out, let myself or Conway know, or Forrest or Jeff. There's plenty of ways to get your hands on this food. We'll get it to you. But as always, thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, and have a good weekend, guys.